Good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Weekly Tangent. This is for Thursday, May 16th, 2019. Welcome, everybody. Brooks, how are you doing, man?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I am finally doing pretty good this week. It's been a long week, but we had a lot of things go on this week, as always. You know, it doesn't change.
Show 17?
You know what happened? Yeah, it's show 17, by the way. Actually getting further and further into this. Do you know what happened this week, though?
What happened this week?
We got Raw Fury games.
No, we did get Raw Fury games this week.
You know that. You did them all.
Well, actually, Mark jumped in on some of them, too.
Yes, Mark, who is off... Well, he's not even in the building, but he's off screen. Let's say that. Mark McHammond is also on our team as well. So,
yep.
Thanks to Mark for now jumping into the world of like publishing like we do. He actually did a lot of other stuff, but he now works with us and is helping us get all these games live.
Definitely.
So it's actually moving along really fast, like a good clip.
Yep.
So that was one thing, right? And that wasn't the thing that I talked about last week. That was not the actual partner that signed with us. So we had two things actually happen. We got the Raw Fury stuff in, which included their entire catalog, which is awesome. And just in time because they're doing a sale on everything, and we've got that sale going on as well. So if you find those on the site, and we'll link through in the comments because we're going to show off a lot of their games, not all their games, but
showing
a lot
off
of
five tonight, I think.
Yeah, 5 that we're going to talk about. But we also signed Daedalic Entertainment, so we've got Daedalic's entire catalog coming, which is roughly about 45, 50 games.
Almost 50 games, I think. Yeah.
Something to that effect. So. Those will be live over the next month or so. We'll be pushing those out.
We were talking off camera. Just I think once we get them in, we'll kind of talk some strategy and look at the calendar and decide what fits where. And
it's going to be exciting. I mean, Justice, good guy, perfect partner to work with. Has been really patient with us because again, in the middle, we were being acquired by Amigo. So you know, it's all of that stuff. You know, the back office kind of. Detail
the
is
stuff that you
just,
don't see.
A headache, and we got it all worked out. And Gamigo was great, Justice was great, and Daedalic and his entire company is great. So, finally we're able to talk about that because the deal's done. And, now it's just getting the games in, getting them QA'd with our back end, and all that stuff. And hopefully we'll even have the Steam keys, so we'll have options. And we're looking to do options with the Raw Fury games as well. So, you know, tonight, when you look at those games, when we talk about those games, we put up links. Those will be for the Steam versions. In a week or two, we'll have the DRM free versions, which are wrapped with our tech, so you can try all of them for free for 30 minutes.
Right.
So if you want to hang out and wait, you can do that. But they're on sale, so it's a good deal. Maybe the time to strike.
I'm particularly waiting for, on the Daedalic side, I want to play... State of Mind.
Yeah, State of Mind, you've talked about that for quite some time. Yeah, State of Mind is interesting. It reminds me of Prey a little bit in the way it looks. It's kind of like a futuristic, not cyberpunk necessarily, but a futuristic type city that you're involved in with augmentations. Or maybe more like, what am I thinking of? With the augments and everything like that.
Well, there's Deus Ex.
Deus Ex,
right?
That's it. Thank you.
And then what's the other one that EA published a few years ago? Starts with an S.
Starts with an S.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Not the one where you're running through the city, jumping from building to building, and
no, not Mirror's.
That's kind of futuristic.
Not Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's Edge is kind of futuristic.
Syndicate.
Oh,
they made an FPS
the RTS,
version.
Yeah, but then they made an FPS.
That's what this game State of Mind very much reminds me of.
Yeah, I could see that. That's pretty cool. I never thought about that one. That actually it does remind me of it. Yeah, funny enough.
There's definitely some Deus Ex in it, but when I looked at it, I was like, the first thing I thought of was the FPS version of Syndicate. EA, and I don't remember who actually developed it a bunch of years ago.
I know I have the game in my collection of PS3 games, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. You'd have to look that one up.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are two big like publisher announcements that we had, which we were happy to get their catalogs live, and
we've been kind of sitting on it for a minute.
Yeah, I mean we've worked on that Daedalic deal for quite some time.
Right.
I mean they were a partner of Wild Tangents a long time ago, and I think it was a different world for both companies.
Yeah.
So we basically decided to re-sign the agreements so that we could get their best stuff, their new stuff.
I mean, they've got awesome stuff out now, and there's even some interesting things that I don't think we can totally talk about yet, but they've got some cool
probably
stuff
not some of
coming down the pipe.
They've shown us all their titles coming down the road, and they look really good. So it's exciting to get new publishers, but we love our old publishers too. So we were showing some love to them this week. Funny enough, I was talking about Ultimate or Monsters, Pixel Junk Monsters Ultimate. And Pixel Junk Shooter, I had put up on the
gaming
site.
brand. I saw that,
because I wanted to showcase those off. Those are games that are really. I mean, we played them on the PS3 back in the day, but they moved them over to PC, and it's they're great games to sit around and play. They're fun. Otherwise, outside of our world, which is a lot of the week, we've got a couple little bits of news that I thought was funny. So let me pull up the first one here. So. Being a fan of like retro games, and not just retro games, all games, I go by the moniker fans of games, and when I did all my stuff streaming, it was under that. So, kind of every game, very much enjoy. I'm still scratching my head at the idea that buying a piece of plastic that has, retro games in it that looks like the same system that they came out on is such a big thing. There's been the Nintendo NES. There's been the Super Nintendo, and then there's been like this rash of like Sega stuff for years from a third-party game,
right,
or a third-party company. But now Sega's actually doing their version of their own console.
Yep,
right, that's coming out.
It's like 20 games, 30 games.
It's going to be they've announced 30, so they announced 20 a while ago, and they talked about some that. If you do follow games, or if you do follow retro scene or anything like that, which a lot of people in Seattle, I say a lot of people, some people in Seattle find the retro community or the retro gaming part of the games industry very interesting, so they're very enthusiastic about it. I don't know if all of Seattle is, but a lot of people. We have a lot of like used game stores. I talk
a lot of
about
unique
them all
shops,
the time.
yeah, definitely.
You can go over to Pink Gorilla and find like retro stuff that's collectible and expensive. You can go to another castle, which there's like 7 or 8 of those around the area. And then there's various smaller ones. Super Smash Games, I think, is down towards Olympia. Past
what's
Tacoma.
the one over in Crossroads? Next to the
that
movie
is
theater? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Next to the bookstore?
Yes. Well, Half Price Games or Half Price Books, but they have some games.
Right.
They even deal with it, but you're talking about. It's not Game Exchange. Anyhow, yeah, I know what you're talking about. The Game Exchange was maybe from Jersey or something like that. But regardless, the it is a bigger scene here. So you find a lot of people buying like old Genesis systems and then like the carts and stuff like that, right? Well, Nintendo made it popular to make one. Sony tried last year with their Sony PlayStation little micro system.
Discounted the thing after like 2 weeks or whatever.
$29 somewhere. Yeah. People use them as door wedges here and there.
Right.
Not that it's a bad thing. It's just trying to pick. I think we can all agree on this. Trying to pick 20 or 30 games to put on a console to highlight for the same price or half the price of what the console actually was when it came out of like catalogs of thousands of games.
Right.
Like the Genesis / Mega Drive lineup is like 1,300 games, 1,400 games maybe. And then you're talking about the NES, which is probably like 800. Super Nintendo is probably like 600. Trying to dwindle that down to 20 games is tough. And you're not going to make everybody happy. And nobody's going to be really... But when you're like PlayStation and your catalog is like 1,000 some games and you try to bring, 20 games to it, you just... And they're not... 3D didn't hold up as well as like pixel...
That's what I was...
16-bit, 8-bit kind of pixel graphics. I mean, everybody talks about this. This is nothing new, but it just didn't really hold up that well.
Yeah.
And, they tried to put something out there. It didn't go so well. So now Sega's taking their swing at it. Not with the Sega Saturn. They're doing it with the Genesis. They announced the 20, and now they've announced the new 10. So you can actually find this. We'll put a link to like where you can find the list of everything. But on the first 20, they talked about, they had like some decent ones that, I would be right on it. I mean, whoever's picking these is actually looking at what's interesting and what was good and like what's moved on, what's hard to get.
Right.
The biggest thing I think is if you're going to make one of these, put the games on there that everybody agree are the best, but are super hard to get a hold of because they're extremely pricey, because they were small batches, or they were just, kind of really good games that just didn't get a lot of prints.
Right.
Right. One of them being from the initial batch, they had like Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse. I like that game. It's a great platformer. I've actually done videos on the newer version, which is like the new 3D on PlayStation 3. Shinobi 3, Streets of Rage 3, Earthworm Jim, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. They're just going down the list of like really like picking all the best games to put on here. And then they announced the next 10, which I'm trying to find.
They had a couple games that weren't ever even on Genesis.
Right, which is the Mega Man, what is it, Wily's World? Something like that?
Yeah.
That one, that's a pretty big title because you would not, it'd be rare to find that, right? Even, you can find the ROM, of course, you can do all that. But Castlevania Bloodlines is going to be on there. I think they were talking about Phantasy Star 4. Right. These are really good games that would have come towards the end of the life of the Genesis / Mega Drive. So I think they're doing it well. I think Nintendo just knew what they were doing when they got into it, because they put like Earth Force on there, or sorry, not Earth Force, Earthbound. They put the Star Fox 2, which never even came out.
Right.
It was canceled. So they kind of went through that. Sega's doing it. They're saying it's going to cost around $80, include 2 controllers, but from what I know and what I've seen, they're only going to be the 3-button controller. So if anybody ever had a Genesis, the best controller was the 6-button.
Right.
So there is a company picking up the gauntlet, though. I think it's BitDo. Is that the company that makes controllers, aftermarket controllers? I think they're making they got the exclusive to make 6-button console for the Sega Mini.
They're like licensed by Sega.
They're going to be licensed. Okay. So they just announced that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this.
I have not bought any of the mini consoles.
Yeah, so, I mean, we had 2 here.
Yeah, we have,
but we didn't buy them. Like the people in our company bought them,
right? Just
to have so people could play something. Yeah, I haven't bought any either.
For me, it's kind of a thing where you buy the box, and it's inherently the thing's kind of dumb, right? It doesn't connect to the internet. It doesn't update.
There's no Wi-Fi. There's nothing. Yeah.
And then there's also another angle where, especially with like the Sony one, I can just go onto the store and get those games anyways. Through like
majority of them, yes,
like
you could, right? Like you could go and buy probably 100 to maybe 100 of the PlayStation games. There's a growing PS2 catalog, and obviously, if you have a PS3, you can play PS1, or if you have the original PS3s, like the fat
ones,
you can play all the games on disc. So you just go out to a store, find them cheap, and play them that way.
Right.
Except certain games. Certain games you can't do that with. But I just bought one last night. I bought Steambot Chronicles. You ever heard of that?
Steambot Chronicles.
It's an Atlas title. It was like $70 for a PS2 game. So, obviously there's a limit to what you can get. But those are the games that I'm talking about, like Sega, PlayStation. PlayStation should have known, like, hey, it's pretty tough to come across a copy of Dino Crisis.
Right.
Right? Let's put Dino Crisis on there. Instead of Resident Evil, where any store in the metro area has probably like stacks of these things. They're using them as drink coasters.
Right.
Right? Or Ridge Racer, they're using those as like doorstops. Right? It's just like find the games that were tougher to find that people should want to try and would find interest. I know there's the thing of like you want to make people happy and play some of their old favorites, but
sure,
Jumping Flash was really not anybody's old favorite from the PlayStation.
No,
I can tell you that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So
it's at the end of the day, I think where I struggle with it again is I played a lot of these games growing up, and it's a little tough to go plug in the NES and the SNES, 8-bit and 16-bit aged a little bit better, but like my expectation would be that an N64 Mini is not a thing.
You know, there's the back and forth of like people feel it should be, but it's a limited catalog. I think there's only not a limited catalog, but there's only 400 games for or was it? It's either 2 or 4. And it's actually like 250 maybe. There's not a ton that came out for the console, but they're all unique because they were all cartridge based, right?
Right.
So there's that argument of like, at some point the cartridges are going to fail, right? That's why like games like Stadium Event for NES that was a short run, they're in such a small supply, so they're so expensive because they're just not available.
Right.
Right. Like the cartridges failed, they're bad.
So it's like, to me, how do you do an N64 classic without rare games? I don't know how you swing that.
It would be tough.
They'd have to be doing some back and forth.
Well, they could do Donkey Kong 64. They own that.
Sure.
That's a Rare game. What else did Rare work on for them?
GoldenEye,
Star Fox?
GoldenEye,
No,
Perfect Dark, Jet Force, Gemini.
Killer Instinct. Well, no, Microsoft owns Killer Instinct.
They do now, yeah.
Yeah. They own the Golden.
Nintendo would still get Diddy Kong Racing.
Didn't they work on Star Fox? Did Rare work on that one for them?
That wasn't until GameCube when they did Star Fox Adventures.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they didn't work on the one for the 64.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it would be tough to do one without the Rare catalog. Because there was Conquer that came out.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah.
It would be tough. Yeah.
It's not that they couldn't. I just think that when I remember N64, if I had to pick 5 of my 10 favorite games, they were rare games.
Yeah,
right.
I know. They were really good.
So.
And, yeah, a GameCube would be tough. Or a GameCube would be awesome. I'd probably skip 64 and just do a GameCube, although it has a very limited catalog as well. But
yeah.
You know, it's still, like, those are hard to get a hold of. Like, to get certain games, to get those on there, they're unique. They're not going to reprint those. I don't think they'll go through and do them digitally. Maybe in the future, the eShop will have them. Maybe Nintendo will get
It'd be nice if they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done something with, Haunted Mansion, Luigi's Haunted Mansion. They re-released it on the
DS.
DS.
That's right, yeah.
It's possible. But who knows? But I do know Nintendo's up to their other antics. Did you see they're selling, they're pre-selling game vouchers for the Switch Online?
Where you get the 2 vouchers for $99, and you can basically buy $120 worth of games.
Yeah, it works for any Nintendo game that they publish in this list.
I looked at the list,
and there's even newer games coming out down the road. I mean, they're definitely trying to get you to commit, right? A little bit, spend some money, get a discount, but we know we're going to get some money up front.
They did have that section where they said these games will be supported in the future, even though they're not out now. Yeah,
I know my son. He really is into the Fire Emblem, the 3 Houses.
Okay.
So that's going to be one of them.
Okay.
I mean, it may actually be worth it. Super Mario Maker 2, I don't know if I'd really want to go to the well with that again because I've already bought a Super Mario Maker for both the 3DS and the Wii U. So I don't know if I really need to buy a number 2 because really what else? I guess they could do some more, but...
They're adding...
Mario.
Yeah, you can... I think the big add to it is you can do Super Mario 3D Lands. That they just showed off here the other day.
They're going to do... Yeah, that's true. That would be a little bit interesting.
And then I have a sneaking suspicion they'll probably do... I'd be hard-pressed to think Mario Brothers 2 is not included this time around. Because it wasn't the first time. You
mean like the Doki Doki Panic style?
The not Mario Mario
game. Doki Doki Panic style? I think it is. No, I was not a big fan of the Mario Brothers 2. Never really liked it. Never thought it was great.
I finished it.
I did too, because I only... Back in the day, a $50 game, you only got one maybe once every 2 times a year.
Right,
so
yeah.
you played
one for your birthday and
played
one
the hell out of whatever you had. They also have, what else is on there? Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, upcoming games like Mario Maker 2, Astral Chain, Fire Emblem 3 House, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. That one might be doing well. It might do well. I don't know. I kind of find that buying them up front to get a discount, but probably within like 3 months after they launch, you'll get the same discount if you just wait. So if you got to have it that day.
If I'm an enthusiast, this is how I'm going to be buying games.
You're going to jump on it.
Because I'm already going to be buying a couple this year, so you might as well take the $20 savings.
I mean, I will be the first to say, like, I use that Best Buy Gamers Pass that I have where I get 20% off any game. I'm willing to forego, like, playing the night that it unlocks at 9 p.m. to be able to buy it for $12 less the next morning and then play it the next night. So, I mean, maybe there is a deal there to be had. I don't know. We'll see. And then also just funny article. Not a funny article. I don't know if people out there really care about strategy guides anymore. We were talking about this here before we started the show, but I do. I still like a strategy guide. I'm not the old, holding on to the table, like hoping that I can keep my physical manuals that come packaged with a disc or worry about that. But strategy guides are a unique thing because coming from when I started playing games, that was the only way you lived and died off of Nintendo Power.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like, I mean, I guess you could have called the 1-900 number, but no parent wanted to see that bill. And, really, the game counselor thing, I know it was real because I know somebody that actually was a game counselor, funny enough. And you met her, Karen.
That's right.
My wife's friend.
That's right.
So Karen was an actual, like, game counselor. And she's... she enjoyed her job there, so I'm sure there was something there. But the bill was amazing to like try to call that. So game, you'd get your Nintendo Power in the mail, and then they started sending out like, at one point if you signed up, you would get like 4 strategy guides a year, and they were about the size of a magazine. Like Final Fantasy was the first one.
Okay. There
was a strategy guide for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I think. And, yeah, there were some odd ones and some other ones. And I had those, and I was like, oh, these are awesome. This is the way to go. And I still have, like, a lot of the hardbound ones. Like, I still buy them today. The last one I bought was for Sekiro. There's actually a strategy guide for Sekiro. It's about yay thick.
Okay.
And it's a hardback made by Future Press and From Software.
And it's 100 pages of saying learn to play?
It's about 1,000 pages, and about 100 of them, are learn to play. The one before that I bought was Red Dead Redemption 2, funny enough. So I never opened them because they're nice. I will one day when I get around to playing more of the game. I played a little bit of each. Well, I actually played a lot of Red Dead 2 and then Sekiro, but I've never beat them yet. So
we got so busy when it came out.
Yeah, you were able to do both of them. Mm-hmm. So I like them. I like the idea of the physical thing, but it's an article in Kotaku where they're talking about like how Final Fantasy XIV strategy guide turned out so horrible, and it's a veteran guide writer, and there are a lot of these. The same writers write like mini guides, right? Not mini, not small, but mini MANY guides, and it's kind of funny when you sit there and think like, okay, that's got to be an intense job. Because you got to get it right. There's no way you can really update it without doing a second print run or fixing it. And you've got to work with both the company and do your own writing and grab your own stuff. And like your window of time is X. Your amount of time you get to have access to the game before it is X. How much time do you get a chance to play around with it, right?
Right.
You're writing based upon like a feel for the game and data you're given. So I don't know. It's an interesting article. We were reading it right before we got in here and kind of talking about like the death. It goes into like the death of Prima game guides.
Yep.
That was the end of the era kind of for that. Future Press is still there. And I do believe, and if I had the resources, I would run something like this where I would do like a limited run style thing for strategy guides. Or for guides that you could then like bundle all this cool stuff together with it. Like for real fans, collectors of the thing.
Your angle's more of a collecting thing than it is a like people buying these to use. It's more like a thing to have.
Right. It's like put the story in the front of the guide. Talk about like things at the end. Put in like basically turn a guide into an art book / a biography kind of like the game. I think that's the way strategy guides should go. because it's more of a collector type thing. Yeah,
Okay.
Anymore. I mean, you're not buying them to like, because you could just as easily, like you'd said, oh, I'm just going to go to GameFAQs, or I'm going to look on YouTube, or I'm going to go to whatever outlet there is and find this information. It's a little bit more for me than beyond that.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to think of the last time I even ended up with a strategy guide. And I think I've probably bought a couple games that came like packaged or bundled with them, because you bought the deluxe
Have a micro
or something like that.
Mini guide, yeah. Kind of like 100 pages or something. Yeah, there's a few of those. I mean, I like them so much, I'm actually doing episodes of them on my YouTube channel.
That's what you were telling me, yeah.
I mean, it's more of an interest than it is like a necessity. So, I don't know. It's just a little bit of article. We'll link it in the notes of the actual video. But enough of that. Do you have any news?
No, I think we kind of covered it. So
okay, cool. So that's it for this week. Let's jump into some of the games, because we've got 5 games we were talking about
from Fury. Yep.
From Fury, Raw Fury, and then we're going to do a little bit of Surviving Mars: Green Planet that launched today as well, along with Project Lakia. Is that how they said it? Project Lakia. Laika, that's what it was. So we're going to talk about Green Planet, though, today. And it's basically, they're giving you the ability to terraform Mars. But it's not really game impactful. It's just aesthetics. It's kind of cool.
So the Green Planet was kind of the big DLC, because the Project Laika, isn't it, it's you pay a few bucks and you can get animals and cows and dogs and pigs
I've seen like
stuff.
pictures of platypus and platypi, or whatever they call them in there. And cows and things like that. Mm-hmm. So let's go to the first one. So Bad North. So Raw Fury, again, speaking to the games that we've just brought on from them. Bad North, you put it up, but did you have a chance to actually play the game?
No, I did not play the game.
So in Bad North, I've actually taken a little bit more than 30 minutes into the game.
Okay.
One of the things that happened was I carry around a hard drive that I record this stuff on. I left the hard drive at home, so I had to re-record it this morning when I was here.
Oh, no.
So I started the game from where I left off, funny enough. So this is kind of nice, because you actually get to see maybe 30 minutes into, or this is like the 35-minute mark, into like where the game goes. So I did pick one of the islands that I had already started out. So you're not going to get anything. But on this island, you picked up the blue flag part of your protection force.
So,
your defense
so
force.
Bad North is a minimalist strategy game?
Minimalist RTS.
RTS.
Yeah. And essentially, you start out with just 2 different units. You have a unit that's green, and you have a unit that's pink, and they both have swords.
Okay.
And there's nothing really depicting them there at that point. But then you can add in, like, you can purchase upgrades. So I turned the green ones into the spear holders.
Okay.
And then the purple, or the pink, turned those into the archers. So you get kind of like the ability to do long, so when they're coming up on their little boats, and this is basically how it always occurs, you have groups or waves coming up on these little boats, and they have essentially shield and sword, they have just swords, they have archers in these boats, so forth. And obviously those are fighting, or you use different tactics to take them on. But the game in general sends waves at you, and you've got to determine like what is going to be the best course of action. So for the guys coming on that ship with just the swords, the archers can take them out before they even hit the shoreline, in most cases. Once they get up on shore, then your guys with the swords, so the guys in the blue, or the blue flag, they're the best for that.
Is this quasi tower defense?
I wouldn't call it tower defense, because in a way it's... I get what you're saying. It is kind of like tower defense. There's nothing that's... You're not setting up turrets, but your guys are like that.
Okay.
Right? So, yeah, I could almost say, yes, it's like tower defense, but it's like an RTS too.
Okay.
So it kind of plays in the middle. But the game is actually pretty cool in the design. It's very minimalist, like Brooks said. You kind of choose your upgrades after you've ran one mission. So you get coins from each of the houses that you save or protect. And then those coins can be used to upgrade. Here you see kind of the cane unit. I can choose to upgrade them. I actually don't have any options here to... I did have an option to do an upgrade. So I did buy the sword upgrade. So then you move on to the next island. Then you're going to get X amount of houses that you can protect. And it's going to be a different configuration, so you have to decide how you want to actually protect or defend the town.
Right.
So, and there are different levels, and you can see like there's areas where it, like bottlenecks the movement. So if you want to get up to that upper level, there's only one set of stairs. So it's going to be harder to get to those areas where that unit is.
What does failure look like?
I never failed.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, look who I am. No, I didn't try to fail because it's really not that difficult in the beginning.
Okay.
There's not a lot of difficulty. You can adjust the difficulty. I was playing on normal, I think. I want to say I was playing on normal. So, in general, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that huge of a challenge in the beginning. I'm sure that changes as you get down the road. And if you choose to up the difficulty, I'm sure that's going to be increased as well. Excuse me, I had a cough. The overall game, though, it's pretty short. Each little island is maybe in the beginning a few minutes.
Okay.
Maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Doesn't take long. Actually, there's some points where if you can get your team set up, you can wipe out the final or the waves before the final wave, and it takes a few seconds, 20, 15 seconds,
okay,
something like that, for the final wave to start because you're so advanced on it. It's pretty fun though. I mean, I could see where there's more games coming out with this kind of minimalist approach on the design of the game.
We've talked about this a little bit
right?
recently.
There was another little city builder that we saw about 3 weeks ago that we don't have on the service yet, but we were looking at to like reach out to those folks. And it's very minimalist. Like it looks very much just like this.
Right.
Right. Have some coffee. Yeah, but I mean overall the game has some challenge, but its progression is very solid. Like you're not going to feel like over encumbered with like problems like soldiers and all that stuff to manage. They're all easily manipulated. You can just click on them, drag, or tell them to go to this area. It kind of slows down time when you're moving them from point to point. The upgrades actually are meaningful.
Okay.
In that sense, they make your weapons much faster and harder.
Do you know how many levels there are?
I do not know that. I know that I went through... You'll see it on the map once we finish off these guys. Yeah, that was the final one. The map has probably 20 level or 20 areas, locations on it. There's a wave following you, and it's kind of funny. The wave follows you, and it basically takes away... If you're not doing this fast enough, it takes away the ability to get the coins because there's no rewards once this wave kind of hits right here. But they really start you off with the few.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So you have to sometimes rest. Like here, I'll take the next turn because I had to rest my guys. So essentially, I've got to determine where's the wave going to next to be able to get those upgrades or those coins to be able to upgrade. There they go. They populated. And we've only got 3 houses on this map, it looks like. But you'll get like certain areas where this like one little piece is really like on its own. And you don't want to stand in front of the boat when it lands on the land because it'll knock you over.
Okay.
And then it sets you off. You lose your attack, or what would you say, a first attack?
Sure.
Yeah. So that's basically... Bad North. It's a interesting RTS. It's actually on sale. I think it's. I'll put the link in chat. I want to say it's pretty cheap. It's $14.99 usually.
Is it on sale right now?
It is on sale. We have it for $9.99.
Okay.
We have it on sale for $11.24, but Wild members get $9.99.
Get for $10.
Yeah. So I will link that in the chat. And then the next game we're going to talk about is a narrative game.
Kathy Rain?
Kathy Rain. So if you were ever a fan of like the Indiana Jones, these are LucasArts style adventure games, point and click. Raw Fury has Kathy Rain, which is an excellent example of that. There's actually two that we're going to talk about tonight. There's Kathy Rain, and then there's Whispers of a Machine.
Is Kathy Rain, is that source material from something, or is that original?
I believe it's original.
Okay, it's not like a book or a graphic
I
novel
don't know
or anything?
of anything that it's a... I mean, I could be wrong. I didn't think about that. When I saw the game, I thought, okay, well, this is kind of cool. This is a very like nice-looking LucasArts-style point-and-click game, adventure game. I guess the closest one that I can think of right now that came out is the one where you're FBI agents. It's from the old creator of the LucasArts stuff. Give me a sec. What is that game? I have it. I haven't played it in a while. But essentially, you're like Mulder and Scully.
Okay.
But in its own story. It's not anything like the X-Files, but it's kind of like the X-Files. And that's the most recent point and click that I could probably kind of go like, yeah, that pixelated graphics, that's really what it reminds me of right there. That people would know. I mean, I'm sure that there's all sorts of like unique games out there that, you know, you'd never even see because they're made from an indie developer that just goes unnoticed and should get a lot more credit than they do.
You know, it's kind of funny. I was when I was looking at the games we were talking about tonight, I had to go double check on my notes because in one part they're like, the game runs at 320 by 240, and I was like, that must have been a typo or that must be a mistake. But nope.
No, they are actually
done
like
stylistically. Yeah.
Yes. There are some of the bigger ones that people would know in this kind of, or may have heard of in the past, like Loom, Indiana Jones, and the Fate of Atlantis. Let's see, Full Throttle, Monkey Island. That's a really big one. Mm-hmm. And then like Siberia. If you've ever seen that game,
yep,
that's more of like a 3D, well, like a Resident Evil style,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
right, in that sense, like more like a pre-rendered backgrounds and all of that. So I guess you could say like all of these are pre-rendered backgrounds. Funny enough, can't find the one though that I remember that just came out. God, it's driving me crazy because we had spoken with them. We were like, "Hey, we love the game," and I have the game myself. I've only played it very briefly. Never actually had even a chance to beat it because it's fairly long. They actually do go through. I'll find it and we'll put it in the notes. I just can't think of it right now.
It wasn't one of the devs that we bumped into at PAX a year ago.
It was.
Was it 60 parsecs?
No. That one's a little bit different. I know which one you're talking about. That's
Okay.
more of like a simulation game. I think they might have been trying to throw some adventure gaming stuff into it when they were taking it.
It's
into
not
space.
the Robot Gentleman guys.
No, it's
Okay.
not. It's not Robot Gentleman. It's actually... Wow, I cannot remember. I know Baltimore probably would know if he was here. We talked about games all the time like that. I will have to look it up. But anyhow, Kathy Rain is more of a narrative adventure. And it's basically a character that... I don't know. I'm going to guess she's in college, late teens, early 20s.
Takes place in the 90s?
Takes place
Yeah.
in the 90s. She has her own Harley-looking motorcycle,
Okay.
so great for her. That's pretty impressive to kind of be able to afford something like that when you're in college.
Definitely.
And her grandfather dies, and she goes off to visit her grandfather in this older town and meets up. And she's been estranged, not necessarily any reason, but she was estranged from her grandparents for whatever specific thing. Her parents took her away or did something like that. They don't really expand upon it until you get further into the game. But you know this is going on. So she takes off, heads up that way, and you get a chance to kind of see the environment that she's dealing with, where she goes to the cemetery to kind of see her grandfather buried, and then meets her grandmother, tells her grandmother, who doesn't even know who she is, and it's kind of an interesting story. They actually, both games, Kathy Rain and Whispers of a Machine, are very well done, and they're in the same kind of style of like traditional LucasArts early 90s style graphics, stylized.
So as you're playing, you're unraveling a mystery then?
Yes.
Is that what I make of it? Okay.
Yep. So here she's going to the cemetery to find out where, who's left, what family members, things like that, just to kind of visit in with them. And they haven't seen her since she was a kid. And, all fair warnings, right? There is smoking in this, tobacco use, things like this. There's stronger language.
Armed with her motorcycle, a pack of cigs, and a notebook.
Yes,
right.
That's exactly what she has. And you can kind of go through and check all that stuff out, and you get, obviously, clues. I mean, she's going to be kind of like a mini detective, more than likely, in the game, because they play very similar in that sense. And definitely in Whispers of a Machine, you play as as a secret agent, or not a secret agent, but like FBI.
Okay.
In that vein. But yeah, Kathy Rain came out 2017. Does that sound about right? I think that's when it actually launched. And there was, every year there's a lot of point-and-click games. It's not just like one comes out every once in a while. There's actually like lots of them.
One thing that I've wondered, and I'm going to kind of loop this back around to the show we do on Wednesdays. I've always wondered what it was about adventure games that the puzzle adventure audience didn't like, because in my mind, you're both playing out a very familiar narrative.
Yeah.
Right? So I've always wondered why those two audiences don't share games or like the same type of games. So it's always just something I've been curious about.
I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see how these do.
Yeah.
Because these are very much in line with the stories that we see in the Hog.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Games. So the one I was thinking about was Thimbleweed Park.
Right. Oh.
That one, it reminds, that's kind of in this vein. This obviously is a little bit better graphics. I think this would be more, it's not even in the bit war kind of like style, like graphics. It's just pixelated.
Yeah.
Right. But Thimbleweed Park is definitely more something like 16-bit style.
Right.
Right. In that sense. I guess this could be too. It just depends on how you design it.
Well, this one, there's a lot of things that are hand-drawn.
Yes.
That's one thing that developers certainly
kind of point out.
Puts out there, yeah.
They want to showcase that style and that design. So, yeah, I would say, like, if you want to give... We'll actually put the link in chat as well to Kathy Rain. We will have this one on the service here in a couple weeks, so you can actually... We'll have all of these on the service in a couple weeks, but you can actually play it before you buy it. But the sale price right now on the game is $2.99.
Right.
It's kind of really hard. I mean, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So $2.99, $2.49 for Wild members, and I'll drop the link into chat. And then we'll jump to our next game.
What are we showing off next?
So let's see. The next one's a little bit of a divergence. I didn't want us to have to look at both Kathy Rain and Whispers of the Machine back to back. So we're going to actually look at Tormentor and Ex-Punisher.
I am not familiar with this game.
This is a twin stick shooter in an arena style place. Strong language. So just be aware when we jump into it, it's going to be strong language right off the get-go. But yeah, let's jump over and check out Tormentor. It's basically a female heroine. She's kind of running around and fighting the undead is how I took it, or not the undead, sorry, the demonic
Okay.
dead, demonic.
Yeah.
monsters.
What do they call those?
It's Doom.
Pentagram.
Pentagrams that
Yeah.
are on the ground there. So it's really quick. You have a shotgun, which is like your right click. I was playing with mouse and keyboard actually. Dual twin stick controller would be the way to play this.
Might be a little easier with
Oh,
sticks,
man.
so you can spin around.
It reminds me a lot of
God,
the space shooter on PS3, where you're above the Earth.
Stardust?
Super Stardust HD.
Okay.
Yeah, reminds me a lot of that control mechanism, but ultimately it's like playing.
Looks like Hotline to me.
I was gonna say it's like playing it is like when Hotline goes wrong.
Right.
That's what you're doing the whole time. You're
Right.
just running around and you're just laying into these guys. You have a left click, which is your kind of like a rifle that fires so many shots and then heats up, and you have to let it cool down. And then you have the shotgun, which is the right click,
Okay.
and you're sitting there just laying waste to groups. Right? If you can get them lined up, obviously you're going to increase your score. You're going to be able to do a little bit more damage too at the same
You can also
time.
play with two.
I did not know that.
It's cool.
I didn't know it was co-op. Okay, very cool. And it has an online leaderboard daily.
That's cool.
So yeah, that's kind of a nice thing where you can actually compete daily. Not compete, but see where you rank in the scores. And that probably is the main component that drives you to keep playing.
I would
this game.
I would imagine so.
The
Yeah.
game is very simple in a sense. I mean, I don't want to insult anybody that made the game, but I mean, any probably first, second year student in college, for games could probably make this in Game Maker Pro. Right? But their talent in this is they made it extremely gory and graphic, and like the language and everything goes along with it. And it's a really fun experience. It's not that anybody couldn't make this game. It's just they went that extra mile and like added the polish to the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. And you can see like it goes through, and it's really quick. Like it's a very nice thing. It's not like you have to go through menus and all this stuff to restart. It's like you see the scores, bam, you press a button, and within seconds you're back into the game.
Right.
So you can sit there and just like, I ran through it for probably about 15, 20 minutes. And just one after another. I wish I was playing on controller though.
Right.
It was playable on keyboard, but I think definitely controller would be the way to go.
I always like it when you're playing on controller and you can really take your sticks and hold them against the side to get these kind of perfect circles.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Which is when you can do it with the mouse. It just requires a little more precision.
a little bit more finesse.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this game, again, you've got projectiles, you've got people sneaking up on you. As long as you're moving, you don't end up getting hit physically a lot from a enemy, but you will get nailed by those projectiles.
Right.
They sneak up on you like there's no other way to get away from them. But again, you also get points for running over the pentagrams. I'm not sure, but it seemed like they were doing a cooldown on the weapons too.
Okay.
And then obviously it stops from spawning. But more pentagrams constantly open up. So it's kind of futile to sit there and kind of run over top of them, but if you don't, like, you're not controlling the ads. So you're just getting more and more and more.
So there's really only one quote-unquote level?
That I was able to play
Okay.
through, yes, in the beginning. But it's frantic.
I'd be curious what the bosses look like. Did you encounter any bosses?
I did not. No,
Okay.
I didn't get that.
I wonder how far into it you have to play before you see the bosses.
I'm not sure. I guess maybe it comes to... Well, I wouldn't think it would come to points. But maybe it's like time. Like it opens up after a period of time. You start to get a little twitchy too. You start shooting at things that aren't there. I can tell you that.
I played a lot of twin sticks early Xbox
I'm going to
Live.
find this game so we can put it in the chat.
Which one?
Tormentor.
Oh.
So I already threw Kathy Rain in there. I believe Tormentor is a decent price as well. I'm not sure if it's on sale right now. It is Tormentor X Punisher is the game name. It is on sale. It's $2.74, and then $1.99 for Wild members.
Okay, cool.
Again, you could wait a couple weeks until we actually have the games on the service as bricks to play them, or you could just buy the keys now.
Right.
They're so cheap. I'd highly say, if you're interested, I'd buy them at the point where they're on sale.
$2 on the sale is a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I mean, this game, it's definitely, it made me laugh when I was playing it because of just the comments. Like this little green guy that shows up at the end, he's like talking smack the whole time.
Okay.
And it's really funny as you play. Yeah, there I was like 0 score. But in general, the game, I could see playing it in the evenings when I'm getting ready to like do nothing and I just want to sit there and like mindlessly play a game. This is the winner, kind of in that scenario. And that happens quite often. I like to just sit back and play games, right? And
sure.
Just, not think about like how hard it is to do something or what the next game is, or try to grab like a disc off the wall or like pick through the tons of games that are on like every system that are digital. Just sit there and play something. This is a pretty fun one.
Well, it's definitely one of those things. Like I noticed this about myself as well. Sometimes like the night runs late or whatnot. You get home, it's like what am I gonna get involved in like a 4-hour boss fight? Or
oh, for sure.
Sometimes it's like you kind of need like a little mindless something to play.
A little mindless fun. Yeah, it's definitely intense.
Cool.
I still feel that controller's the way to go, though. Let's jump over. We've got 2 more games before we start playing a little bit of Surviving Mars. Let's take a look at Whispers of a Machine, and then we'll look at Kingdom 2 Crowns.
Okay.
Again, all from Raw Fury, but so Whispers of a Machine, we'll take a look at. There's not a lot of footage on this one because I didn't want to get too far into the story.
Okay.
Because again, it's the beginning of the game. You probably want to enjoy it for yourself. Maybe you want to see it, but you can definitely tell there's somewhat of an upgrade to the graphics from Kathy Rain to Whispers of a Machine.
Certainly. Yeah.
They did a little bit. They made it a little bit more realistic. Still held on to that like serious kind of narrative. It almost reminds me of Snatcher.
Okay.
And I've talked about Snatcher to you from the Sega CD.
Sure, yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that, but it doesn't have... And it's, if anybody's curious, Snatcher came out on the Sega CD, and it was made by... It was the first game Hideo Kojima ever did. Actually, no. It was the first game he ever produced.
Correct, yeah.
There was some kind of weird snowboarding game I think he did before that.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yep.
But the Snatcher was the first game he ever produced. And Snatcher was an interesting experience. It's cyberpunk. It had augments. It had like this kind of thing where you were hunting androids. It had, funny enough, it used the Konami Justifier gun at certain points within the game too. This one does not use any light guns because it probably wouldn't work with it.
Because it's got a little, doesn't it have a little Metal Gear in it too?
It's got a little Metal Gear, yes. Yeah, I sent you the pictures. We were laughing about that. The little Metal Gear in it. It's like before Metal Gear was Metal. It's actually the little Metal Gear that shows up in Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots.
Yep.
Metal Gear Rex.
Yep.
Or Mark II.
Mark II, because Rex and Ray are the big ones.
Rex and Ray were the big ones. Mark II shows up in that. And this game was made in like 1996, 7? And we didn't see Metal Gear Mark II until probably 2013? No, 2009 or 10.
Metal Gear Solid 4 was a 2008 game. It came out on my birthday, 2008. June.
Oh, funny. That's wild, man.
That's the only reason I know
That's the only reason you know that. That one really sticks. No, but that was kind of funny. Like 10 or more years later, he actually made that little creature run around. It was pretty cool. But anyhow, back to Whispers of a Machine. Whispers of a Machine has that same kind of thing with body augmentation, so almost a little Deus Ex in it as well. But she's definitely more of an FBI agent or whatever kind of agent.
I think they call it. She's a Central Bureau.
Yeah, Central Bureau agent. So definitely more of like the Snatcher side of the world than the Deus Ex side of the world. But they definitely have the similar not look and feel, but definitely some kind of look to it, but definitely a feel of the same type of gameplay. And I thought that was interesting. So I was going to continue to play it, but obviously trying to get through these for the video recording this morning, I couldn't do it, and last night I was just too tired. Just ended up being too tired.
I'm a really big fan of noir-ish settings.
So
this game looks really interesting. Yeah.
This is, and it's done well, and you can interact with different characters, and you will see a little bit of the body or the augmentation kind of thing come up, because at the right-hand side, you can see there's like 3 padlocks. Well, right next to that are 3 of the augments. One is a smart scanner where you can just click on it and move it around the map and see like different things. Like if it's kind of infrared almost in a way, it can scan like the blood on the guy's clothing and discern some information and so forth. Then you have the one where you can click on it and it's like essentially a lie detector that runs when you're close within proximity of somebody.
Okay, so you're kind of doing some investigating. You're kind of gathering intel.
Yep, for sure.
There's light puzzle solving spread throughout. Okay.
Yep. And then you also have like a strength augmentation.
Okay.
So if you need a burst of strength, you can click on that, and she can one of the lockers you rip open and breaks the lock because you don't have the key.
Okay.
And makes the guy flip out next to it. But so essentially, gentleman's dead. You're tracking down. You're collecting clues. You're going to talk to the guy that works with them, and then you start to kind of build an idea of what you're looking for. Then the world or the map starts to open up, and you can go to different areas. But everything is driven by you have to discern and decipher different things prior to being able to just go walk around.
There's like a branching narrative. And
there's a branching narrative. It's not very linear, but there's still some linear story to it, but it's definitely got branching narratives for sure. So they did a really good job on it. Like I said, it's really, for the pixelated graphic design, it's really like fine sprites.
Right.
So it's like you can make a big character look really like detailed.
Yeah, well, because I think they even actively promote that even though it's got that pixel to it, it's still hand drawn as far as
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I would call it. Is definitely a hand drawn. It would be interesting to see it without. I wish there was a way you could flip, like in some of the older retro games. You can flip from the new version back to the old version with just a button clip. Games like Halo, the remaster.
Yep.
Had that where you could just hit the select button. It would show you like, here's what the original Halo looked like. Here's what the new one looked like. Night and day kind of thing. The Wonder Boy in Monsterland has the same thing for the new one, stuff like that. I wish they would have done that here, so you could see the hand-drawn versus the pixel.
Right.
That would be cool. There's the little lie detector. So it was connected to the one guy, and now you're standing over by the other gentleman. Now it's connected to him. You start asking him questions.
A little anxious.
And when he lies, or if he's not telling the truth, it comes up as something you can then click on, capture that, and that opens up another branch of a story. If you don't see it, that goes away, and you don't have until you talk to him again. I think you could probably decipher it again, but if you ask them the same question. But it's kind of got some neat little hooks to it. Again, nothing that's going to stop you from getting progression in the game.
All right.
If you miss it, it doesn't stop you from moving forward without that piece of information. You just have to ask him again.
Okay.
So, kind of a neat idea. Let's so that is Whisper of a Machine. Actually, before we jump, I'm going to put the link in the chat for that as well. And that one's on sale, but I believe it's a newer game. It just came out in April. So they were kind enough to offer it for sale.
Yeah, we have it. I think it's $12.49 normally, so I think you get a couple bucks off on sale.
Yeah.
You get it for like $11 or something.
And I think Wild members get it for $10.99?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're a Wild member, if you don't, I guess we should maybe link to that too. I'll throw that link in page. If you pay $7.99 a month, you get access to like 2,000 plus games that are unlimited access. You can play them all you want. And you also get up to 30% discounts on games. And the majority of the games end up being like probably 15% roughly, and almost, then up to 30.
I think almost every new game we launch. Now, this doesn't go way back in the past where it predates you and I, but I think every game
we try to hit 20.
You and I launch, I think comes with at least a 10 or 20%. Almost all of them at this point, yeah.
Yep, for sure. And I'll find that here as well. So if anybody's interested, so really you sign up for that on the right game, you can pay for the $7.99, save some money, and then every game you buy that month, you get like 20 or 30% off.
Yep.
So it's actually a decent deal.
Have a look at this. Do you know who the woman is?
And I'll put that in there. So there's the link for Join Wild as well, if you want to find out more for that. But all the game links, like I said, currently right now we have the Steam key versions. We'll maintain the Steam key versions, but we'll also bring in versions where you can play it for 30 minutes for free.
Yeah,
that's going to be a couple weeks though.
We were even talking. I think that we'll come up with some way to kind of promote or notify everyone that we've now got the full game downloads available as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you watch our social media links at the bottom, like really Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, those ones are always updated. We do a little bit on Pinterest, but not much. But on those four main ones, we'll definitely share when those games are available for the free 30-minute trials. Mm-hmm. Yep, shouldn't be too long. We try to get them done as quickly as possible. We just in the instance of being able to get them to market so you can get them during a sale.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to go with Steam keys because they're quicker. The last game we're going to look at from Raw Fury is Kingdom 2 Crowns. So this one, I don't know where this game falls into it. Like if we look at what the game is essentially genre it's sitting in, I believe it's done as a roguelike. I believe that's the genre. So let me take a look here real fast to make sure that's correct. I was, because it's an interesting game where there's a new genre called hyper casual in games. And not that this game is a casual game, but it kind of falls into this hyper casual scenario.
Right.
So, they have it as a strategy game. So adventure strategy with kind of the pixelated graphics. I would probably throw this at that hyper casual game mechanic style as well. Because
we were talking about this with Lonnie, yeah.
Yeah, really all you do is you press right on the keyboard keys, left on the keyboard keys, or hold or press down. You can do two different actions on the keyboard keys. And that's really the three keys that you're involved with.
It's not the skill-based, go for headshots, blah, 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 blah type of thing.
No, not by any means. And essentially what you're doing is you're building up your kingdom, or a version of your kingdom that's, going to be your outpost. Let's say that. So right now you're trying to build the outpost up. You first claim it with the coins that you have, and then each thing that you build, whether it's a wall or you make a shop to build hammers or a tower, it's going to cost you X amount of coins. And you get these coins by hunting those little rabbits running around, or finding chests, or just them laying on the ground, or chopping down trees. You build up these coins, these gold coins, and then you can use it to expand your kingdom. Now, last night when I was playing it on my own, or on the recording that I had from last night, I had actually upgraded the camp or the outpost, maybe 3 or 4 times in terms of like what my people had as an outpost.
Okay.
And it was getting fairly large. But it does take a lot of these coins that you have to go find. And then there's secrets in different areas that you go around to. But a lot of the game is spent like setting up the strategy, because you got to defend at night, because there's these little cretins that come with like these hoods on, and they're trying to break into your outpost, and they turn your peasants that work for you into like, well, I guess they turn like somebody that's a skilled peasant into a regular peasant that just mopes around asking for money.
Huh.
and then they steal your coins if they hit you as the king. But then you can you can give some coin, you can give a coin to the peasant, turn him back into a skilled peasant, and move forward and things like that.
The terminology they use for this is interesting. I don't know that I've heard this before. Micro strategy experience.
See, yeah, and
I
think when it says micro strategy, I think it's more like minuscule.
Okay.
Like not micro in like everything's fine-tuned ideas. It's like it's minuscule strategy.
It's not overbearing.
It's not even over. It's not even bearing. I don't know what you'd say. It's basically like those hyper casual games where you kind of set things in motion and then you kind of let it go on its own. Because if I did nothing, if the king was just sitting there, the rabbits would reproduce and the person with the arrows would keep shooting them and they would give me the coins. I wouldn't have to go search around or do anything. And I could eventually, over time, build up my outpost. So that's why I kind of think it falls into that like hyper casual game design.
So you start venturing horizontally or left to right. You start gaining some distance. Yeah. Okay.
But it does have the water effects in this game are beautiful.
Look great. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole game looks really, really good. And you can see like I'm traveling further out of the camp, and I can mark any of these trees to like have them torn down, and then that would net me like 1 coin.
Okay.
But the further you venture out, the further you get away from the encampment. Light, dark, the day-night cycle kicks in. Your horse does get tired. So like I could be attacked right now if there's little cretins were running around with their hoods on, like trying to attack me. Right? They're like, I don't know. They look like they almost look like a mage, like a warlock type thing. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, they're kind of running around, and they're going to grab your coins, and then of course you're going to slow your progress down if you can't build with the coins. Because some things, not that they're really expensive right now, like an arrow or a bow and arrow is like 2 coins, but there are points where like your next upgrade for your outpost to make the camp better is like 32 coins or something to that effect, like 16 or somewhere in there. So. Different style of game.
Yeah.
You just kind of run around. I liked it. I'm kind of into the hyper casual style games because you can sit there. You could play this game on a different monitor while you worked.
You could do like
a
windowed mode thing and have it kind of off.
You
to the
could
side.
multitask with this type of game. And that's the same as like that swag and sorcery game that I've been playing.
That's what we've been talking about.
Or Soda Pop Dungeon or any of those types of games as well. Now, it is not free, though. It's not a free-to-play game. Kingdom is on sale. We actually have the original one, which was Kingdom New Lands. I think that's it. Kingdom New Lands. That's $2.99.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We just put that up.
It's on sale. You can find it if you do a search in the store. But the one that we're playing here is Kingdom 2 Crowns, the next game. And this one is $15.99. On sale. I think it's normally $19.99. But then, Wild gets you X amount off. Let me drop it on Twitch as well. And if I can find the New Lands, I'll send it. It's very similar game style. We don't have it on the front page today.
No, I think
we did, but I took it down.
Yeah, I think we actually are. I believe
it's available. We didn't. When we say take it down, we didn't. We just moved it from the front page to.
Yeah, I think I think the promotional date said is like the 28th.
Yeah, it was not intentional. It's just I wanted to show some of the other games too.
Right.
Kingdom New Lands. There it is, and it's $3.99 on. It's on sale from $9.99, I think, or $7.99. Down to $3.99, then Wild members get $2.99. Sorry, not to be pedantic, but just making sure everybody knows. I didn't want to confuse anybody.
Nothing wrong with being straightforward about it.
But that's about it for the Raw Fury stuff. Still, we've got a couple games that we didn't even talk about from them, so the entire catalog's there. You can find it, but we've got a little bit of time, so let's play some Surviving Mars.
Cool.
You've heard it in the background. I guess I'm going to play?
Yep.
Let me play? You're going to keep an eye on chat if it comes up. So let me jump in here. It's been a while since I've actually played a game on the stream. So what I did is I went in a little bit earlier today and got further into the game. Let me flip it over. so we could show it. So really what we're playing, or what we're talking about, is the Green Planet, which is the new DLC that came out. I think it's $19.99.
Yeah, and I
believe that's what
I think
it
we've
was.
got a couple bucks off, so I think it's like $16 or $17.99.
Something to that effect, yeah. This game, and then there's Project Lakia, which, is that the dog?
Yes.
Is that what it's referencing? I saw the dog on there, so it's referencing like the dog that like the Russians sent up.
So it's
Along, like the first.
So they did 2 launches today, and one of them is a big kind of chunkier DLC with the Green Planet, which the big kind of add in there is the terraforming. The Project Laika, I think it's a little more kind of tongue-in-cheek, where they're like, the cows are coming, the pigs are coming, so they've introduced animals into the world.
Okay, so let's jump into the loaded game that I have. And again, I just went and created. It's going to look ugly, and I was saying to Brooks, this is like the ugliest thing in the world. If my son was playing it, you guys would be blown away by the amount, because he can sit and play these games like there's no tomorrow. Me, I'm not good at it, but he loves. And this is from Paradox Digital, just so everybody knows. So
it is not a Fury game.
It's not It's not a raw Fury game. This is from Paradox, and Paradox does some amazing strategy games, like. These are like the best ones that probably in the industry right now.
I'm dropping the links into chat for anyone that's interested.
So I've already built kind of what you need as a requirement to get the terraforming going. And this is part of the terraforming right here. Essentially, you're growing like fungus on the surface of the Mars planet that will then become like an area where you can plant grass or start to terraform. Mm-hmm. Start to build oxygen, and I guess plants that would produce oxygen. So really what it adds in is this new section right here under terraforming.
So then can you go through and play all the previous content with the ability to terraform? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it's not a game impacting thing.
Okay.
What it is really just I guess they would probably say it is it's more of a cosmetic component. It does add like things that you have to do around it, but it doesn't impact anything else within the game.
Okay.
You can play it just the same way as you've always played it. It just adds in the ability to do this, and you can add in lakes. You can put in like plants you can walk around without your helmets on.
It's something
after you get it.
Something of a tool set then, almost.
Yeah, almost a tool set. I guess that's a better way to say it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tool set. But obviously within these games, and we never really have played too much Surviving Mars on the show. We did I think we did one episode where we actually had. Oops, let me get out of this. Where we actually talked about Surviving Mars, but we didn't play a ton of it. Yeah. Within Surviving Mars, obviously, there's maintenance. It's a simulation. It's a strategy, kind of like living on a planet. I've got these batteries that are they're coming up for their maintenance schedule. Like it's a little far off, so we're gonna have to do some work on that. A lot of my stuff is been there for a little bit of time, so you're starting to see the water plants, the actual water extraction plant.
I like how close you can zoom in.
Yeah, you can really get in there. You can see kind of like
you jump into the dome.
Yep, you can move into the dome and you can see what people are doing. They're shopping for their groceries. This is a bar. Again, I just did the bare minimum to be able to show like because to get to the terraforming, just I guess let's give everybody a little bit. Let's actually make it full screen. To give everybody kind of like how you get to it. It opens up automatically when you fire up the game after you've downloaded the DLC, and then you really start to see what is capable. So you can see here what you can get to, but you really have to have requirements to use it. So to do what I'm doing, which is the forestation plant, you have to have at least enough power, you have to have water, you have to have a dome, and you have to have either seeds being delivered or you have to have a farm where you can build, grow seeds.
So for a brand new user, in your estimation, how long would it take me if I started this right now to get here?
About an hour.
About an hour, okay.
Maybe a little bit less than an hour, depending upon if you knew how to play the game ahead of time.
Okay.
Right? If you knew power, you got to have X amount of power here. Power doesn't run when you're, the solar panels don't run when you're, not in the sunlight. So
Right.
you have the wind power to back it up. You have the batteries to keep the power, and then you got to like get everything power. And down here you have to get like water and power to the unit, right? For the dome, for example, like this is going really basic, but for the dome you have to have an oxygen producing system for obviously them to survive,
For
as
people
well
that
as
have the
water.
helmets, right? Okay.
And then for food, you could either be growing food, which you'd have to have more of these, or you can just truck it in. I wasn't worried about expenses. I'm playing on a open environment, or what do you call those? Like a sandbox environment.
More of like a creative mode.
Yeah, where I don't have to
Okay.
worry about. But look, here's. I think this is more of our terraforming happening. I think it's starting to pop up. Now, I have not gotten to the sections where I can unlock this, right? Because we still have to research. So the one thing you do have to do for any of this stuff is you have to start researching it,
Okay.
right? And there's a whole tree of researching for terraforming. Pretty in depth. Let's see, what's the next one? So I've researched, here's what I've researched so far. And it's, you just click on it and kind of let it go. Martian vegetation. Let's see what else. Planetary survey. The Dozer rover. Topology. And greenhouse Mars. And then let's see, growth simulation. We can do that. And you can research 5 things at a time. Let's do conservatory landscape. Terraforming subsidies. Is there one for domeless farming? The lakes. Oh, lake crafting. That's what I want.
Okay.
Domeless farming. And actually, what can I not do this one? Yeah. Let's do the lake terraforming. And let's do carbonate process. That might be for oxygen. An atmosphere. And let's do the trees and then one more. Core heat conventions, you probably are going to need that. What's this one? Planetary projections. And then nuclear terraforming. Oh, geez. That's what you do, man. You open up one new planet and you go right into like nuclear. Why not? And kind of funny, you can, for those who've already played, you're going to know this, but for those who haven't, you can zoom out, right? See your map. But then at that point, you can go out even a little bit further and you can kind of see like what the scope is of the planet itself. So the planetary view and all the other colonies that have kind of showed up. You know, China's there. You've got the U.S. kind of over here. Funny enough, you've got a colony of like Paradox Interactive,
Okay.
right? And you can even talk with them. You can find out, like you can reach out and you can say, hey, I want to send in covert ops, or I want to just sit there and contact them. I thought that was funny. But let's go back to ours real fast. Close that.
So who do you represent in the game?
Your own colony.
Your own
you're
colony.
you're a what would you call it? You're a You're a corporate entity.
Private space force.
Yeah,
of
and
some
you can
kind?
choose what you
Okay.
want. You can choose what you want to start with.
Cool.
As you go through, it's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, this is as basic as you can get. But it was just to kind of start the process of getting terraforming kind of up and running. But once we get our technologies, then we should be able to start messing around with the lakes first. I think that's the first one we're going to be working with. It hasn't opened up yet. So in the meantime, we can sit here and do some stuff, though. So we're picking up concrete over here. We can probably put more of these guys in, I would expect. So let's build another one. And we're going to have the power to run it. And you can put them in strategic locations, you know, that makes sense. Let's put this one down here. So it says no cable connected. So obviously you got, and also how they get built, if you haven't seen this, Brooks, is the little robot builders come over, start grabbing resources that they need, start building the way for you. I've got it on super fast right now. So like the speed of the game is like hyper speed.
Okay.
But now we've got to move our...
Does that also mean, so not only do your workers move faster, but does like citizens move
Everything,
faster?
time just moves
okay.
faster. Yep, time just moves faster. So let's move anything for love. Cost of 10 million. Oh, what's this one? gloomy colonist approach you and shares something personal. Deep love with another colonist for years, and they fear out of their league, though. They wish to propose during a very romantic moment, one that involves serious display of fireworks, so we can do that. But it's only going to cost us $10 million. So,
all right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
We got the money. So let's take and run some power, which is what we were doing, to here. We can just branch off of this line. Thought we'd be able to come out this way a little bit more. There we go. Let's do that. Why it stops doing that. I think they're going to build there. We'll see. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, we went over a little bump. That's why. I wonder when they're going to put off the fireworks. Oh, we've ran out of... Looks like our stuff is starting to fall apart. So, for that, if I remember... that's maintenance. Landscaping, decorative, decoration, spire, or the domes, storages, life support, production, power, infrastructure, and do we need to build anything for that? Surface heaters. Recharge station? I don't think so. Drone hub? And I'm not sure how close we need to put anything in there. Let's just drop it right there, because obviously our power is going to be the most important. Well, between power, water, and air, I'm not sure which is more important, but I guess power is needed for
water and
for
air.
water and air.
Yeah.
So now this one's saying, hey, you need to add in like the resources for the seeds. Yeah. So you need seed production, and I think they should start feeding them in on their own. Like once they fire up here, they should start bringing down some seeds. Actually, the other thing I need to do is run water. So we've got to run our pipeline, which is right here. Pipes. We should have enough. I built some extra pipes and all that, or water resources, just to be able to make this work. Okay, now they should be building that. Let's see if that all connects up. And yeah, well, it's not spinning yet, so it still needs the seeds. I thought that they had seeds up here. Destroy the building. No, we don't want to destroy anything. Well, the way I made it work the last time, funny enough, I just did this because, again, we have the unlimited resources. So let's bring in a supply pod. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. So on the supply pod, I can say, hey, I want this, 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 this.
You can drop this into your base?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll see it come down here. So let's see. We're going to bring in some extra food, too. Launch. And we'll have to bring it down, like, right here. And it's so funny how it lands, but... And then you can even send the bigger ones out, too. So here comes the pod. We're going to have them land in a nice, safe area. Or maybe we won't. There's something in the way? There is something in the way. Now we got to find a flat area. Oh, man. Yeah, it won't allow me to land him here. I could build another landing pad. But I think it'll be okay. Let's just find a flat area. Right there. Here he comes. Oop, and he flips over.
Okay.
I don't know why. But let's go ahead and we can like salvage his body. They do give you a lot of nice hints too. So you see the seeds were dropped over to this thing now. It's starting its job.
Okay.
But yeah, they give you a lot of nice hints. You can actually open these up for the terraforming hints like water. Oh, hey, here's a pro tip.
So how did you earn that tip? Why did the game give it to you?
It just gives it to you as you unlock certain
Periodically?
spots.
Okay.
Yeah. So this thing, I want to salvage him, which I think I can do that here. It'll just take the parts off. And your little guys pick up the food and things and drop them to where they need to go. You don't really have to micromanage it that much. So now this guy's starting the terraforming. And I think that's what's happening over here as well. So let's see if we've gotten... and I don't know if you guys can hear the audio as well. Let's turn it. I think now we can choose...
So it takes a little bit of time for the terraforming, the areas that you can terraform to populate into the planet?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yep. So let's see, can I generate a lake yet? Let's back out a little bit. Probably I'm going to need water, I would imagine. Looks like you might be able to pull it off here. Okay. So they'll start in on that. And I think we're going to have to pipe water from over here into this process.
Do you know how a lake differs from like your clean water storage?
Well, a lake's going to start to provide moisture for the atmosphere, I would imagine.
Okay.
Right? That's going to make sense. Like the water's going to condense in the heat as you build that up, go into the atmosphere, begin to produce rain. That's going to rain and feed all the vegetation and everything. That's how I would imagine they would build it. Could be wrong. Let's see. We're going to take the piping, the ugly piping. Let's run this down to this boy. And then that lake should start to fill up once they're done with the piping.
So as you're normally playing when you're not in creative mode, how do you earn the
There
money?
it goes.
How do you earn the money to be able to do all this stuff normally? Because it seems like you...
Well, you
can
get a
kinda free
loan
spend.
system, but a lot of it you're supposed to, as you're in the campaign and that, you're supposed to build it out, so you're supposed to be self-sufficient.
Okay, so then you're building at a pretty brisk pace right
I'm playing
now.
around right
Okay,
now. Yeah,
got it.
this is not as
Okay.
easy as it would be for others, right? Or like if you were playing a campaign. Let's see, what else can we build while we're kind of here looking at our terraforming mod. This is the atmosphere to release carbon gases. Yep, so that's the kind of the atmosphere, and then you have more carbon processors. You can even build like the open dome environment, so you can have people living outside once the oxygen and everything is up. Let's see, this one, does it need a... I'm not 100% sure if it needs a specific area or it can be built anywhere. I think it might be able to be built anywhere. So let's just build this right here, since we're kind of in the middle of everything. How's our terraforming coming? Slow. We might need way more of these machines too. It's starting to appear. You see all the little green spots?
Yeah, definitely.
That's the fungus or whatever that's going to be where you can start to lay down the plants.
Is your expectation is that at some point a very large swath of the ground will have that color on it? It seems to be sort of...
I would imagine the whole planet will have it.
Okay.
I would expect that's
what I was thinking.
Right? I've seen Total Recall.
Okay.
I know what happens.
Right.
Right. You press a button, your eyes almost blow out of your head, and then it actually like changes the whole planet into like a, Earth. So that's what I'm expecting. They don't want to let me down. But no, I think that's what it'll be. There's the lake filling up. Obviously, you can have many, many lakes. I don't know if you have to keep this going to keep the lake. After the lake's there, that'd be interesting. Like, does the lake just disappear if you don't have it?
Well, my expectation would be, and I'm just thinking a little scientifically about this, that if you haven't built an atmosphere and you have that lake that's sitting there getting irradiated by the sun all day. My expectation would be the lake would run dry.
Okay,
You need
true.
a water
You have to
source.
have an atmosphere to
So
be able
until
to do
you've got
this. Yeah.
something to kind of
That's a good point.
block some of that.
Good point. Let's see. This needs us to connect to power. Let's connect this up to power. I'm curious what this is going to do. What, just act like a diesel truck and pump carbon into the... No, that wouldn't be right. It's going to... Because plants produce carbon. Or no, they take carbon into... they pull... Photosynthesis pulls
Yes.
carbon and turns it into oxygen, or H2O. Or oxygen. O2. Yeah, now we're getting into the science, which I'm going to fail. Let's see. Power cables. Now, we're putting a strain on the system, so eventually we're going to start to, like, run out of power. So, you know, these things need to be cleaned. I'm hoping this guy's doing something here. Oh, it isn't even connected. That's probably why it's not doing anything.
Blocking objects.
Blocking objects. What's blocking? There we
Yeah.
go. Now they're doing their thing. Objects underneath are blocking construction and even terrain. It looks like it's built to me. Or maybe this is the area they need to go into and out of. I don't know. But we're going to have to put in some new power as we're starting to probably overload the system. Oh, there we go. Had to click back a little bit. So let's throw another wind turbine in there. I don't even know if there's wind on... I guess there's wind on Mars, right?
Mm-hmm.
That little rover, the two rovers we had up there were getting covered with stuff.
Oh yeah, and you would see like the sand dunes and whatnot for sure.
So this guy is waiting to get more resources. So I'm wondering what resources they need. Hypothermia. Let's see what this message is. Our colonists are suffering from hypothermia.
Oops.
We need a planet heater. Yeah. Everybody needs something. I believe... Oh, that's under here. Surface heater. So we kind of want them to be heated. So we're going to have to, like, put a few of these in. Oh! Meteorites. I built in a place that specifically does not have a lot of meteorite attacks, so...
Okay.
I was hoping that we wouldn't get hit while we were trying to build this. But you always run the risk. Let's see, we need power to that thing.
Do you ever get just decimated by an asteroid? Just comes in and just wipes
Oh,
your
it could wipe stuff out, yeah.
Awesome.
It could take out your ships. Oh, something blocking it there. I have to then take it from here to there. Think that'll do it? Let's see. Oh, what's it run off of? Water? Boy, everything says that. All clear. It needs piping, so I'm going to take it. It probably needs water to heat it. Oop. Get me out of this. Okay. Insufficient water. Yep. Let's bring some more piping around. I had built some here because I knew I'd have to go to the opposite side. Just drop it right there. Ugly builds. Quick and dirty. So that's going to heat this area up. Probably going to have to do the whole thing for another spot too. Nope. Maybe that worked. Domeless farming has been researched. That's good. What do we need here? Waiting for one resource to resume. What is that?
Fuel. One gas. Yeah.
Gas. Oh, yes. Which we have none of. Those are water, hydroponics, oxygen, water.
Lightning bolt, maybe?
You know, I don't think so.
Huh.
Stirring generator. Production. Machinery, drones, fuel refinery.
There we go.
Oh, wait. Was there a fuel extractor, too? Metals extractor, rare. Polymer extractor. Okay. Alright, where... This place is just becoming a mess anyhow, so... Jesus. Goodness. Who the hell wants to live on Mars now? Can I just put it there? Yeah, we can just put it there and make it easier. Everybody thought Mars was going to be great, and then it turns out to be New Jersey. North New Jersey, not. We're not talking about like Maple Shade, New Jersey, which is a nice area by Philly. Okay, so that's connected in. We need power to it. Do you ever play these games yourself? Or would you play a game like this?
I don't play a ton of strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Did I pick the wrong thing? Or... No, I didn't. I picked the right thing. Let's snake this up here. Yeah, we're pretty tight where we're at. I have to go out and around, I think. That's the long way around.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to do it to make it work, right?
Yeah, I mean, just to get what you need. How's our terraforming? Well, we're seeing more green patches. The lake's still filling with probably nuclear waste from Simpsons.
Right.
I don't even know what would be going into there. But yeah, we're seeing like, whatever reason, this whole area down here like turned green where all of my stuff is up this way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's the wind
strange.
blowing that way. It looks like we've got enough. Well, we don't have enough backup batteries. That's the problem there. Because the batteries are not storing, I don't think, enough energy. Let's throw a couple more of those in. Ooh, it really zooms in. Oh, I see. I may have forgot to connect the wheel too. That's probably it. Me. Is it connected now? Or maybe it is connected. I might be wrong. Let's just see. Now we should... see, there's usually a little line there. I'm not seeing the line.
Yeah, I don't see a little wire.
Yeah, there's usually a tiny wire. Let's try this one more time. We got some random cable down there for no reason. I'm going to take it out and around. I really don't think there's a limit to how much you can have. But it doesn't want to connect to it. Anyhow, in the daytime it's alright because their solar panels are running. So, let's see. We're still waiting for the fuel. It's not powered. And neither is that. Maybe we've connected too many on that grid. So let's open up some more power options. We'll put it closer. Can we just... No, we can't set it right on top. I like how the little guys race across the desert to like, okay, boss, we're going.
Totally.
They are Johnny on the spot. Okay, now... Okay, it's connected in. Why are you not getting the power you need? How much power do you need? For the fuel mining process, this must be like a whole nother level. Let's see if we don't put another one in, see if it can't run it. Low storage, low power. Okay, now it's running.
Okay, yeah.
Power, water, everything's doing its thing. And now we got this running. So we're just Looks like we're just like throwing like smoke into the air kind of thing.
No problem.
I think we'd get there if we had more time. We're running shorter on time tonight. But this is kind of all of the different things that you can start to do. And it essentially, what Green Planet is doing is giving you a makeover aesthetically of what it looks like. And eventually you're going to be able to terraform the whole thing. You'll have trees, plants, grass, oxygen, lakes, which are freshwater, and it's going to start to look like Earth.
Right.
Essentially is how they built this and designed it. So it's kind of cool, and it even tells you your percentages up here, so you can see like, hey, the vegetation's growing. Hey, the water table, you need more lakes, and then your atmosphere, probably going to need. I don't know. Would you need 100% or like 40%?
So it does have you building up an atmosphere, dealing with temperature control, dealing with moisture. Interesting.
Yep. Because you're going to be to make a world,
right?
To reshape a world, you're going to have to be doing that. Now this guy, these things stopped, so there's production. They need maintenance, but you get the idea. It's kind of an aesthetic thing to be able to give you a different look and like a whole nother challenge. I'm actually up on a plateau. You see the meteor strikes actually happen lower. Funny enough, they say they don't happen as much as a plateau. So that's the new DLC. It takes you a while to get going. Obviously, if you've already got an established colony, you're probably going to have an easier go at this.
Okay.
Where I'm at, I think it's going to take a little bit more time because I just threw one together to quickly get to the points where we could show
some
stuff.
building, and rather than the first 45 minutes of
exactly,
now we have a tiny bit of life.
Exactly,
so.
we got something to because it would have taken us about an hour to get to where we were. We were able to see like, oh, okay, there's the atmosphere is working now, the water, the lake systems are starting to build, and then you're starting to build your terraforming or your fungus to be able to start planting trees, grass, stuff like that. So that's it on that side. So what'd you think?
We should have some cool games tonight.
Yeah, I think it was a good show. It's always lots of games. I'm happy to have the new partners come on. I'm happy to be able to talk about the new games that we're getting in. Day and day release like everybody else. It took us a few years to get to that.
Yeah, I would love to. One thing that I'm looking forward to is we've been getting some feedback.
Yep.
Getting a little more feedback. I love to hear what other people might want to see us play.
Yeah, so if you're watching, if you're not watching live, but you're watching the show after we put it into the archive, definitely just drop in the comments of that show. We always check them.
You can drop it into comments. Yep. You could post it on Twitter or on the various social channels.
Yeah, reach out to us on there. I mean, we're looking at everything. We run the social side. We also do the slotting. We also talk to the partners. We also run the show. So from nuts to bolts. If you want to see other games on the platform, or if you want to see other games being played, or what games you want to be able to try for free, let us know that in the comments, and we can always get to that.
Yeah.
So you've got the direct line of communication.
Couldn't be more direct.
So that's about it for this show, though. I appreciate everybody taking time. Hopefully next show we'll be able to do giveaways. I think we've been doing them on our Facebook side as well.
We're planning on doing them next week if possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be giving away some Steam keys to be able to share some of the love with the viewers and everybody that watches and gives us feedback. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that on YouTube, and hit that notification bell, and on Twitch give us a follow, and you'll get notified of when we go live. And we'll definitely be looking for suggestions in the comments and stuff like that in the meantime. And if you can, like or dislike the video as well. That helps us out, helps us get us visible.
Yeah.
And lets other people see what else is going on. We have followers. We have about not that we worry about, but 4,000 plus subscribers on there. So, but we like to get as many people as possible to sit and check out the show and be able to talk.
We're looking for a lot of
those.
feedback.
Yeah, we want to get feedback, and we want to share industry insights and stuff like that. So appreciate everybody taking the time. Have a great weekend. If you're going to do something fun, let us know what that is. But otherwise, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week, next Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the next weekly Tangent show. Other than that,
have a good night.
Have a good night. See ya.